Hey guys, good afternoon. Thank you guys again for coming out, supporting us and covering us and just continuing to make us visible in Western New York, Buffalo community and all over the nation. And certainly excited about getting to this week and this point of the season. So much work that you put in the off season, in the summertime, and training camp, and game week is finally here. Game week is in front of us, and I think just by and large in college football in the United States of America, it's an exciting week just for football fans everywhere. We are certainly like everyone else. Just finished a really thorough Tuesday practice that we had today. Our guys did a phenomenal job just bouncing on and off the field and around and bringing to life a lot of the first and second down game plan for us as we go on the road, Camp Randall Stadium, and take on a nationally ranked team in Wisconsin, veteran coaching staff. Coach Fickle, offensive coordinator Phil Longo, defensive coordinator Coach Tressel. They do a phenomenal job. You see a lot of long athletic players on both sides of the ball. Obviously, transfer quarterback Tanner Mordecai coming in from SMU, the numbers and the stats that he had, and just his ability to create, his ability to push the ball down the field, his ability to make plays, even with his legs. They do a phenomenal job with him, and very sound. And some of what we've seen, obviously we're piecing together some film from previous places, but what we've seen in the kicking game, very multiple, and defensively give you a ton of looks. They give you a lot of looks, and they have a lot of different presentations, cause issues up front, create negatives by being able to put people in multiple places and bring people from multiple places. So we certainly have a challenging task in front of us, but we are looking forward to the countdown, taking it day by day, our process leading up to the game. We'll travel out there Friday and looking forward to taking on a nationally ranked Big Ten team on the road.
Wisconsin's got that new.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a little crack here every time you just want to pull this away a little bit. That should be better. Thank you.
Wisconsin has that air raid offense they're implementing with their new offensive coordinator. How is your defense and your secondary preparing for it? Also knowing they may be working out some of the kinks in this offense as well.
Yeah, definitely, Rachel. What I would say is when you look at the history of really Phil Longo all the way back to Sam Houston State, been able to attack people vertically and horizontally. They have a great vertical stretch game to their throw game. They find ways to get the ball to multiple players in multiple positions. When you go to North Carolina film and what they were able to do with Josh Downs and get him the ball in multiple ways, and you're certainly expecting a lot of the same. I'm sure through off season, through self-scout, through study, there are going to be some things pop up that maybe have not presented themselves on film. But I think you hit it on the head. I think there's definitely a challenge with the down the field passing attack and their ability to run the ball. I think so much gets maybe lost in translation when you think about spread and air raid. This is a physical north and south running team. They have a really sound gap scheme running game, and their backs play downhill and run downhill. At least they've shown to be that way from the film that we've seen from multiple places. So we know that we're going to get challenged on all three levels. We do have some veteran players back that have been a part of what we feel like have been some big-time games that have learned a year under their belt. The Jalen Bass and Damon Williams and Sean Dolax and Marcus Fuqua and Caleb Alford. We got a number of guys that have played in big-time games, and then we also are going to have some new faces. So we're thoroughly schematically putting the game plan together. But it's going to take team ball. It's not going to be one side of the ball that's going to win this game. It's going to be us playing sound in all three phases of the game. We got to play complementary football. And we have to make sure that fundamentally we take care of our job, set edges, plug gaps, play over the top on routes, and do our job.
Did you learn a lot from their bowl game last year, or is that
Yeah.
too unique or small?
No, I think it's a great point, Jonah. I think anytime, film is out there, you know me very well. We're going to study all the film. We're going to watch all the plays. And we also know that things are going to get packaged a certain way. And I think when you go to these first games, a lot of people are in those first, 15, 20, 30 plays. You're finding out the identity of what you believe to be true and what actually is true early on. And we'll play special attention to what we see early on and anticipate what we have to adjust to and stay ahead of it, if so to speak, and just be aware of we have an approach and what we anticipate getting, and then we'll see what presents itself and we'll adjust from there.
It's a transfer quarterback. It's two starting receivers listed that are transfers. Do you even go as deep as to see what those guys did in their previous places to help you?
Yeah, definitely, Paul. When you are looking at what I would say piecing together and building your your menu and your package and how you're going to pare down what you have menu-wise and how you're going to apply what you do to someone. A part of it is schematically, who have they been? Well, a lot of it's the personality of the play caller, personality of the head coach. So you're watching a little bit of film on that. Then you're also going to watch from a personnel standpoint who the guys are. So if a guy, this day and age, it really reminds me of when I was in the NFL, when you maybe a free agent's on a new team. Well, let's go to where that guy was last. Let's see what he was able to do, maybe not schematically applicable to who they are now, but from a personnel standpoint, how's a guy release versus press? What's he look like running his routes? What does a guy look like in terms of his running style? All those things are on film, and we'll be able to educate our players on those things.
Opening the season in a big-time environment like Camp Randall, just how do you feel like you and your team are looking forward to this?
New to Buffalo. How's Buffalo treating you?
It's good.
There we go.
And the food's been really good too.
There we go. A lot of great spots. Welcome. Great place to live. Great place to live. I lost track of your question. Hit me one more time. I saw a new face.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Just about opening the season in an environment like Camp Randall, obviously one of the great environments in college football. Just how do you feel like you're going to get
Yeah, I think it's anytime you get to go play in some of these historic places, just from a football fan perspective, obviously, we have our team objectives and why we're going out there and what we want to accomplish, but so much history. If you look at, Coach Alvarez and you think Wisconsin, you think of, the Rose Bowls, you think of, even 80s and 90s and, when I was growing up in the 90s and 2000s and watching them play on ABC, and it's just a historic place. I'm also familiar with being in the Big Ten, coaching in the Big Ten, and the history of a lot of the Big Ten programs, and just the fanfare, the draw that they have, and the excitement that they create in college football in general. So we're excited about just being a part of the pageantry of college football. But then obviously we have some very clear objectives of why we're going out there and what we got to get done and what it's going to really take for us to have a successful Saturday for ourselves.
What do you want to see out of this first game that would let you know that you're on the right track?
Yeah, that's a great question. We talk a lot about what we call right now, this is our phase 5, and we break our program down over 365 days into different phases and what our team objectives are in those certain phases. And I won't go through all of them, but I would certainly tell you that the connection of our team, the ability to handle adversity and respond to that adversity. You see that acronym HARD that we have everywhere, HARD. It's all about handling adversity. We never been a part of a college football season that has not had its own share of adversity. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be things that are unforeseen at times. We just got to handle it the right way with poise, with discipline, and respond to those things. And then I want to see our big-time playmakers come to life. We got some guys here at Buffalo that can play some ball. We have some veteran players that are seasoned, that we're going to count on, we're going to lean on to be those big-time playmakers for us. And then we've been pretty successful in the recruiting department, whether they're high school or grad transfer or junior college, being able to get in a number of talented young players onto our roster, a taste of Division I football for a number of our guys, in the big stage, on the road in a Big Ten atmosphere, playing with poise, playing with discipline, playing team ball, playing together. We know that the best team's going to win the football game on Saturday. No one individual has to do anything heroic, but everybody's got to do their job, and collectively over a long period of time, if everybody does their job, we'll give ourselves the best opportunity to be successful. You know what, Rachel? This is my first go-around. So at Minnesota, we had Wisconsin come down to us when I was with PJ there at Minnesota. So this is my first go-around going out to Camp Randall. I know a lot of it. I know a lot of things about it. Never have played or coached in the stadium yet. So looking forward to all the things being true. I think I know there's a lot of dairy and cheese and all those things, and the state of Wisconsin and the farms and all the things they provide to our entire nation in terms of how they feed America. But never coached in a game yet at Wisconsin. Looking forward to the challenge.
Based on the music that you've been playing in practice, how much better educated is your team on 90s hip hop? Right?
Well, I don't know if they know the artist yet, but they know the song. They know Jump Around. They've seen it a little bit, really starting at the end of our training camp last week. And we show them the videos. We let them see. I mean, that's a great atmosphere. Fans are excited, and the great thing is that the game's going to get played on the field, and it's going to be 11 guys on one side and 11 on the other, and we want to lock in and do our job on that individual play, one play at a time.
How much do you think the noise in practice, the music, actually
Well, we have to work on it, Jonah. I think it's a real thing. They get loud. It's a loud stadium with cadences. You have to be prepared. You know, I remember my time in the SEC and the NFL. It's a real thing when that noise volume goes up and cadence mechanics and how you're going to operate. Their fans are well schooled. They know when to get loud and when to be quiet and all those things. And we've seen that. So we're going to prepare our team for those things the best way we can. That's going to be a piece of the game in handling the noise. And that part of the game is a real thing that we have to prepare for.
Where's your first depth charts out, and it looks like there's still some decisions that need to be made. Number 2 quarterback, and a little Orr's on there, linebacker as well. Are you planning on platooning guys at certain positions, or are decisions still being made?
I think the great thing that we're able to do right now that maybe 2 years ago we weren't able to do is you didn't see a lot of Orrs before, and recruiting has provided some depth for us. And we do have a lot of guys fighting for jobs. They're going to continue to fight all the way through. You know, we'll name a starter, we'll roll out 11 guys day one, but we plan on playing a healthy amount of guys really throughout the course of the season. If you look at the end of last year, Tajay Ahmed is the leading rusher in a bowl game down in Alabama, the bowl game that we win in the Camellia Bowl. Well, he started out the season maybe I think the 4th or 5th running back for us. So we have to continue to build depth throughout the season. How do you build depth? Guys got to play. Guys got to get that game experience. And this is going to be our first, experience at it. But we're certainly excited about maybe being able to be a little bit more 2 deep or maybe a little bit more 30 deep overall as opposed to maybe your top 11 on offense and top 11 on defense. There's a little bit more volume. So guys are going to fight for jobs. We'll roll the ball out there. We'll let the film decide what that looks like, and then we'll analyze, and then we'll make really good decisions for ourselves moving forward.
At wide receiver,
Surprises in formulating your first lineup?
Well, you're considering a lot of variables. You start to formulate a game plan, and a part of that game plan comes from your training camp installation. When we come out of spring football, we spend a lot of time on ourselves, self-scout, self-study. How do we trim the fat on, so to speak, on our menu, our play calls? This worked well for us. This did not work well for us. We need to get this picked up a little bit more, this call a little bit less. And in June, we're able to kind of evaluate ourselves objectively without the game coming up and the backstop of, hey, we got 3 days to play or 4 days to play. From there, we get to a training camp installation in August where we're able to evaluate what happened in the spring. We're able to evaluate a lot of new players that we were able to onboard in March, April, and May. And then when you kind of combine those 2 variables, it kind of gives you a little output of we need to call this call and put this guy in this position, and then we bring to life a little bit more game planning specific to an opponent that happens in the last couple weeks of training camp. So a lot of moving pieces if you can follow all that, but we feel like we're in a healthy place where our menu is, who's going to do what, who we're asking to do what, because ultimately the game is about people. It's about the individual. It's about matchups. It's about strengths and weaknesses, and how do we take advantage of those strengths? How do we limit or hide our weaknesses? And a lot of that is by menu design and play call.
at wide receiver, you had some really good players last year, so that limited what Booby Curry could do. But with his experience at the Power 5,
Yeah.
what are his
Paul.
your expectations for him now this year?
Definitely, Paul. I think it's a great point. I mean, that's an underrated group I feel like I'm really excited about that maybe not everyone knows about now, that I think when you see the months continue forward, people are going to hear some names that are on our roster that I think are going to maybe raise some eyebrows. But you mentioned like a Booby Curry who you look at, a four-star out of high school from Houston, Texas, signs at Arizona, transfers to us. We have Justin Marshall and Keon Williams have big-time years for us last year. Certainly those two guys came alive. Justin's over there with the Seattle Seahawks right now. And I feel like I'm having a similar conversation about Booby that I had about Justin this time a year ago when we were like, hey, we got this guy Justin. He's going to play really well for us. And we're really excited about the practices that Booby has had, where he is, what I feel like he's going to do this year. DJ Harding's another guy coming over from Duke, big, long receivers, making plays for us in practice. Marlon Johnson's been trending up. He's been a guy on the rise. Cole Harrod, he's done a phenomenal job. Love the tight ends that we've gotten in Jake Orlando, Zion Carter. We got Cam Ball coming back. So we got a number of guys that maybe are not overly familiar to our fans and maybe our opponents right now that they're going to get a really great opportunity to make a name for themselves in this first month and throughout the season.
Coach, you used the A word earlier.
Train wreck.
Adversity.
Yes, sir.
How much of an advantage is it that this roster has a lot of, experience in game adversity versus, say Wisconsin going into the season?
Well, I think anytime you get the callus of the ups and downs that a season brings, right? Gabe Wallace played over 1,000 snaps for us last year. Played almost every offensive play for us, and including field goal. And you see a guy just mature and develop and grow, and there's something to be said about a guy that can go through difficult things and still be standing at the end of the day. If you watch the bowl game at the end of the season last year, he's one of the first guys I ran up and he's about 4 times my size, but I tried to pick up and bear hug because it's those type of experiences of how you finish and being a guy that can go through things and still persevere through that our roster, and I think any roster, any person in life can learn and grow from. That's how you build real confidence. I think it's an experience. It's you can build up, you can talk up, but going through it and knowing what it takes and leaning on his leadership now, and we have a number of guys like that, Sean Dolak, Marcus Fuqua. How do you respond, Marcus Fuqua, to going to get 3 interceptions in a game? How do you respond to being the number 1 guy leading the nation in interceptions coming into this year? That's another type of adversity, right? How do you respond to the success? Sometimes you think of just maybe some of the bad things, but how do you respond to success is another thing that we're looking forward to seeing from some of our big-time players. But I think it's a great point. That adversity is real, and it's tested. It makes you better, and I think it draws people in and grows you closer. I think that's one of the reasons why our locker room is as connected as it is right now. Leaving the spring season of 2023, 0 guys entering the transfer portal. Very, very uncommon in college football. We got a pretty connected team right now.
Fresh pair of Nikes for this weekend?
Would you expect anything less? There you go, train wreck. See you guys.